Alright, these are the quiz 13 corrections. This is just on factoring. On March 28, 2017, this is version A. You got 2 points for writing your first name and your last name. 1 point for the first, 1 point for the last. And 1 more point. They have to be legible, and the other 1 point is to circle the correct period. Remember, you should be doing your corrections on the right side, in that column on the side. Question number 1. True or false? Question number 3 below has the greatest common factor. So you just look down at question number 3. And if you look at this problem right here, you should recognize that all of those numbers are even. So the answer is true. There is a greatest common factor. You can just put it into the box. 2x squared minus 2x minus 12. And so when we're talking about GCF, that's what greatest common factor is, GCF. You're just putting them up and breaking them up into the factors. What does that mean? 2x squared is 2 times x times x. Negative 2x is just 2 times x. Ignore the math operation. And then 12 is 2 times 6, so they all have a 2. So that would be 2 times x squared minus x. It's a minus because I have a minus sign up there. And that one's a minus, this one's a 6. So there is a GCF. Okay? Question number 2, multiple choice, factor completely. So I see a trinomial recognizes in descending order, x squared, x to the first, x to the 0. Then I can just find my a, b, and c. A is 1, b is negative 2, and c is negative 15. Recognize there are no variables in the a, b, and c. Then I just have to do my box, a times c. That'll be negative 15. My b value, which is negative 2. I need to think of the factors, so good strategy is listing out all the numbers right here. 15, so 15 and 1, 5 and 3. And pick the bigger number on the left side, smaller number on the right, so it's easier for you to subtract. I'm going to pick 5 and 3. But I recognize that if I multiply these two, it's not going to be negative. So one of these has to be a negative. I'm going to pick the bigger number. I'm picking the bigger number because negative 5 plus 3 gives me a negative 2. Now I can do the box. Now if you recognize the pattern, when your a value is equal to 1, you only have to do the x. And you're just looking for those two, positive 3 and negative 5. Your answer is B. Now if you don't see that shortcut, you can still fill out the box. Top left, x squared always. Bottom right, negative 15. Always. That's your c value. Then I'm going to put in these two, but go ahead and add an x. And there I'm just going to go ahead and find my factor. So this is x times x. X times something equals negative 5x. That'll be negative 5. Or you can just take apart these two. That's a negative 5 and that's an x. This will be a 3. 3 times x gives you 3x. 3 times negative 5 equals negative 15. Again, if you don't know when to do both the x and the box, I would just encourage students to do it all the time. Question number 3. Well, I've already factored out the GCF in question number 1, so I have 2 times x squared minus x minus 6. The next thing I need to do is I need to find my a, b, and c that's inside the parentheses. Ignore that 2. That 2 does come back. Okay. So if I need to factor that, so a times c, that's 1 times a negative 6. B value is negative 1. Two numbers that multiply to be 6 are 2 and 3. I need a negative number, so this one will have to be bigger. And then you're just really looking for negative 3 and 2 as your answer. Positive 2. Again, if you don't see that, just put it inside the box. So this will be x squared. C value is negative 6. Remember, I'm focusing on inside the parentheses. I have a 2x and I have a negative 3x. So this one's just x times x. X times something will equal negative 3x. So this has to be a minus 3. And this one has to be a plus 2. X times 2 is 2x. Negative 3 times a positive 2 is negative 6. X plus 2, x minus 3 with the GCF of a 2 there. Okay, so this one is which letter? minus 3, positive 2, that is also B. Question number 4. I have here a value that's greater than 1. So my A value is 15, my B value is 16, my C value is 4. A times C is 4 times 15, which will give me 60. And my B value is 16. So I'm going to list out all the factors here. I've got 60 and 1, 30 and 2, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 5 and 12, and 6 and 10. Remember, notice how the strategy I'm doing is I'm putting the bigger number on the left. That way it's easier for me to either add or subtract. Okay. Well, if I look at my numbers, I have 10 and 6 there. Remember, you can use a regular calculator on your quiz or test. 10 times 6 is 60. 10 plus 6 is 16. Now, I must do my box, so let's go ahead and do that. Here I have 15y squared. Bottom right is always your C value. And I'm going to go ahead and add these values now. This is a 10y, and this is a positive 6y. Now pay attention here. I know that 15 is going to be 5 and 3. Well, the question is, where do I put the 5 and where do I put the 3? Well, I can't put a 5 here because 5 goes into 15, but 5 does not go into 6 evenly. There's a remainder. If I put the 5 up here, 5 goes into 15 and 5 goes into 10, so I'm going to put the 5 up there. And this will be the 3. 3y times something will equal 6y. Well, that's a 2. 2 times 3 equals 6y. 5 times something equals 10y, that'll be a 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. So 3y plus 2 and 5y plus 2 gives you B as your answer as well. Question number 5. Multiple choice, factor completely, x squared plus 4. So notice in this problem I have x squared plus 4, and there's no b term. So ax squared plus bx plus c. There's no number in front of x, so that's a 0x. So my a is 1, b is 0, c is 4. Put that into my box. I'm sorry, my x. So a times c is 4, and b is 0. Well, if I have to think of two numbers that add to be 0, that would have to be one positive, one negative, the same exact number. Well, I can't do a 2 and a 2 because 2 times 2 gives me 4, but 2 plus 2 gives me not 0, that would equal 4. If I did a positive 2 and a negative 2, that does add to be 0, but doesn't multiply to be positive 4. So there is no number. This is called a prime factor. There are no two numbers that multiply to be 4 but add to be 0. Your answer is C. We've been recording on this video. This is day 142. Hopefully you're not cheating, because when I do the different versions, I just switch the equation, or I can mismatch the letters. All right. For question number 6, you should notice that this problem here is not in descending order. So you have to write in descending order, x squared plus 4x plus 3. Right? And because now it has a descending order, you always have to get in descending order. So this one had no order. No order. Now my a value is 1, b value is 4, and c is 3. Let's go ahead and try to do that trick. A times c is 3. B value is 4. Two numbers that multiply to be 3 but add to be 4. That's going to be 1 and 3. And again, if you recognize that you don't have to do the box if a's value is equal to 1, therefore my answer is going to be A. So that side has 6 questions. They're all multiple choice. 6 times 2 is 12. That side was worth 12 points. Turn the page. Question number 7. X squared minus 10x plus 25. A is 1, b is negative 10, and c is equal to 25. A times c, that'll be 25. B value is negative 10. Well, only numbers are 5 and 5. But if I multiply those, that does equal 25, but if I add those, does not equal a positive 10. So that means they're both going to have to be negative. Go into the box if you like. X squared, 25, negative 5x, negative 5x. And that'll be x. This will be a negative 5. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. Negative 5 times negative 5 is a positive 25. So your two solutions you could have had is x minus 5 times x minus 5. Or if you have two of them, you can just write it as x minus 5 squared. Either of these answers would have gotten you full correct. I saw a couple of students, they had these correct, but then they wrote something like x minus 5, x plus 5. If you had the x correct, I would have given you 3 points. Okay? Question number 8, I told you guys, cross off this number. That's 8. So it just wants to identify a, b, and c. Well, there is no middle term there. If you had one, it would have been x squared plus 0x minus 49. Remember, it's in a standard form. So your a value is 1, b value is 0, c is negative 49. Students, I don't know why. Remember, these are only numbers. You can't have an x there. Automatically wrong if you put a variable there. Okay. Now I just want you to factor this question. So you already have your a, b, and c. So I have a times c, 1 times negative 49. B value is 0. Remember, when your b value is 0, you should be thinking that these two numbers are going to be exactly the same. One's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. In this case, that'll be a positive 7 and a negative 7. Positive 7 times a negative 7 is negative 49. Use your calculator to check it. And 7 plus a negative 7 equals 0. If you want to fill out the box, you can. Don't have to. X squared. Let's use this one over here. Negative 49. Don't forget to add the x when I do that. And negative 7x. Therefore, my answers are x times x. That's a negative 7. This one's a positive 7. My answer is x plus 7, x minus 7. That's a special product. They call that difference of squares. Really, just the idea is you have to put a 0 there. Okay? Alright, question number 9 says factor completely. All the directions are factor completely, so you might ask the question, well, what should I think of when I'm doing these problems? Well, number 1, on the board right there, it says set equal to 0. This only works if you see the word solve. Okay, that's what you're going to see on your test on Wednesday. The second thing you need to do is always look for the greatest common factor. Well, if you look at this problem, 1, negative 10, and 25, that's an odd, even, and odd, so that's nothing. Same thing there. The only problem you had in the GCF for version A was in question number 3, even, even, even. That's when you should be thinking about a greatest common factor, or if they have the same variable. Well, look at this question right here. Even, even. Okay, and it looks like it has multiples of some number, right? So let's break these apart. 2 boxes because I have 2 expressions separated by the math operation. 24 can be 12 and 2, and then m times m times m. 36m can be 12 times 3 times m times m times m. I'm going to circle what they have in common, so they have 12 in common. They also have, I wrote too many m's there, m and m. And then you just write what you did not circle. So that would be 2m squared. The math operation is a plus sign, and then you didn't circle the 3. So this would be your answer. You got 3 points out of 4 if you could have factored again, meaning if you look inside here, maybe your number wasn't large enough. So you could have, maybe some of you may have wrote 6m, but then you have a 4m plus 6. You just have to take out a greatest common factor again. You got 2 points if you knew there was some kind of factor, but you couldn't find all of them. You couldn't get the correct answer. Okay? All right, question number 10. You should have noticed I had the power of 3, and they all have x's, which is that they have a greatest common factor. So I'm going to go with the greatest common factor. 3 times x times x times x, 5 times x times x, and 2 times x. That means they have an x in common. X times 3x squared minus 5x plus 2. Okay, you got there, you found that one, you got 2 points out of 4. Okay, now to find the GCF, I'm sorry, we just found the GCF. To find your A, B, and C, you're going to look inside the parentheses there. A value is 3, B value is -5, and C value is 2. Put it into your x. A times C is 6. B value is -5. I need to think of two numbers that multiply to be a positive 6, but also add to be -5. There's 6 and 1, and there's 3 and 2. Well, if I put 6 and 1, that multiplies to be 6. But I can't have a -6 and a -1. -6 plus a -1 equal -7. So 6 and 1 don't work. If I try 3 and 2, those multiply to be an even, but those also add to be a negative number. So if I put -3 and a -2, now if I use these two values, put into my box, I'm going to have 3x squared. I'm going to have C value, which is a 2, -3x, and a -2x. I'm going to have one of these to be 3. I can't put a 3 here because 3 goes into 3, but 3 does not go into 2. So I'm going to have to put a 3 up here. 3x times something equals -3x, that's a -1. X times something equals a -2x, that's a -2. Think about breaking apart this. And -2 times -1 equals a positive 2. Okay, so here's my answer. Don't forget the GCF. If you forgot that and you wrote the correct answer, you got 3 out of 4. So 3x minus 2 and x minus 1. That's your answer. Probably the most difficult factoring problem on the quiz. And the last one, I'm going to go over this because I'm really surprised so many students are missing this. This should be like an easy set of points here. Fill in the blank squares so that each row and each column contain all the digits 1 to 4. Numbers and cages may repeat as long as they are not in the same row or column. Okay. So the first thing you should be looking for is freebies. The freebies are the numbers where there is no math operation. So I got a 4 and I got a 4. Awesome, right? Okay. You can start anywhere you want. You can start with 2 boxes. I think this box right here is pretty easy. I need 3 numbers that multiply to be 3. Well, that's 1 times 1 times 3. But I can't put 2 1s in the same row. So I'm going to put my 3 here, and that's 1 and 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 1 is still 3. In this column class, I'm missing a 2. I need 2 numbers that divide that their answer is 2. So that number has to be either a 4 or a 1. Okay, so we'll come back to that. This one right here says 2 numbers that multiply to be 6. So I need the answers are going to be 2 and 3. Can I put a 2 there? No, they're repeating, so you're right, 2 and 3. Okay. Let's try this one over here. I need 3 numbers that add up to be 8. I'm thinking can't be 4 and 4 because then you have a leftover box. So I'm thinking now 3, 3, and 2. Well, if I do 3, 3, and 2, can I put the 3 and 3 here? No, I'm going to have to sandwich that 2 right in that corner spot. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. What number is missing here? What number would have to be here to be subtract to be 3? What number is missing? What number is missing? And what number is missing? 4. No numbers are repeating. No numbers are repeating there. Okay? Alright, so there are, count on the back. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions. This one was only worth 3, so 24 4 times 6 minus 1 gives us 23 points, and that's why the quiz is out of... Oh, I still can't add. 35 correct? I'll figure that out.